The Tiger tank is the most feared weapon of World War II. Right now, you're the loader trapped inside one and you have 8 seconds to live. The shell punches through at 3,000 feet per second. You see the hole appear in the steel wall, finger-sized, glowing. Then the hydraulic fluid catches. Fire erupts across the turret. 3 seconds in, you can't breathe. The flames consume the oxygen faster than you can inhale. Your throat burns. Your eyes water. You can't see, can't think. Bail out. The commander's scream comes from somewhere above you. 5 more seconds. The hatch, 24 inches wide. You're wearing winter gear, leather jacket, wool sweater, flannel shirt, bulky, heavy, catching on every protrusion. 2 men ahead of you scrambling for that tiny opening. The gunner reaches it first, gets stuck. His belt, caught, wedged half in, half out, blocking your only exit. He's screaming. The commander pushes from behind. You can see the flames reaching the ammunition racks. 92 high-explosive shells. 4 seconds left. Below you in the hull, the driver and radio operator are screaming your name. They can't reach the turret. You're blocking them. The fire's blocking them. They're trapped. You're trapped. Everyone's trapped. The ammunition starts to cook. You've seen Tigers brew up before. The turret lifts off like a bottle cap. Everything inside turns to vapor. Bone, flesh, steel, everything. 2 seconds. The smell hits you, not diesel or cordite, but something worse. Burning rubber, burning cloth, burning hair, your hair. The leather on your jacket is smoking. You can taste it. Bitter, chemical, the taste of your own death. 1 second. This happened to 60% of Tiger crews who died. Not from enemy shells, from the fire. From hatches designed for peacetime, not for 5 panicked men trying to escape while their world burned down to nothing. The Tiger tank, the most feared weapon of World War II. For the men inside, it was a steel coffin with an 8-second timer. 60 tons of steel, an 88mm gun that could destroy any Allied tank from over a mile away, armor 4 inches thick. The weapon that made Allied commanders rewrite their tactics. When it worked, it was devastating. Michael Whitman destroyed 138 enemy tanks. At Villers-Bocage in June 1944, his single Tiger annihilated over 20 British tanks and armored vehicles in 15 minutes. Allied intelligence obsessed over it. Tank crews were ordered, see a Tiger, call for backup, flank it, pray you live. The propaganda showed invincible warriors manning superior technology. Here's the truth they buried. 90% of Tiger crews became casualties. 90%. Not because the armor failed, not because the gun was weak, but because the Tiger broke down every 10 to 15 hours. Because the interior hit 138 degrees in summer. Because the engine noise shattered eardrums. Because it was target number 1 for every weapon on the battlefield. And when it burned, which it did constantly, you had 8 seconds through hatches barely wider than your shoulders. I'm taking you inside. Not the museum displays, not the technical specifications. The truth, what it smelled like, what it sounded like when rounds hit armor. Why veterans said they'd rather face machine guns on foot than climb back into that steel trap. This is what the documentaries don't show you. Starting with something as simple as temperature. Eastern Front, July 1943. 4 hours into combat. You're the loader. Behind you, the Maybach HL-230 engine pumps 700 horsepower of waste heat into a sealed metal box. The temperature gauge, 138 degrees Fahrenheit. Your uniform isn't wet anymore. It's soaked, completely saturated. The sweat has nowhere to evaporate. It just runs. Streams down your face, your back, pools in your boots. Your hands are slick. Every time you grab a 40-pound shell, your grip slides off the casing. The metal walls radiate heat like an oven. Touch them, and you leave skin behind. Spent shell casings on the floor glow dull red. You're wading through them, dancing between them, trying not to burn through your boot soles. 10 rounds fired, your arms shake. 20 rounds you vomit. The heat, the diesel fumes, the cordite smoke from the breach. Your body gives up. The vomit splashes across the turret floor. It doesn't dry. It just sits there in the heat, adding another layer to the smell. Sweet, acidic, mixed with diesel and sweat and fear. 30 rounds, you're not conscious anymore. You're automated, muscle memory only. Grab shell, load shell, close breach, duck, repeat. Your brain has shut down everything except the movements that keep everyone alive. The commander standing in the cupola gets fresh air. You don't. You're sealed in the turret 3 feet from the engine bulkhead. No ventilation, no relief. The gunner beside you has passed out twice from heat exhaustion. Twice you've slapped him awake because you need him conscious to keep firing. Klaus Meyer, Tiger Loader, 3rd SS Panzer Division. I would have dug ditches in Siberia in winter over another July in that turret. In Siberia, you die quick from cold. In the Tiger, heat killed you by degrees until you were just a corpse still moving. Water ration, 1 canteen, gone in 2 hours. The rest of the day you fight dehydration. Your head pounds against your skull. Vision blurs at the edges. Hands shake worse. You make mistakes. Kursk, August 1943. A loader, disoriented from heat, loaded a shell backwards. When the gunner fired, the shell exploded inside the gun. The breech blew back, crushed the loader against the turret wall. Instant death. The gunner lost both hands. The Tiger was mission killed. Because of the heat, winter reversed everything. -40 outside. The Tiger had 0 insulation. The metal walls conducted cold straight into the crew compartment. Touch metal with bare skin, leave flesh behind. Frostbite in minutes. Crews wore leather over wool, over flannel, over cotton, and still froze. Fingers went numb. Some crews lost digits to frostbite before they ever saw combat. Starting the engine at -40. The oil turned to tar. Fuel wouldn't vaporize. Crews built fires under the tank to warm the engine block, a process taking hours. Sometimes the tank caught fire before the engine caught. This was routine, but heat and cold weren't the worst environmental factors. Noise was worse. 120 decibels constant. That's a chainsaw held against your ear. That's standing beside a jet engine. That's baseline, just the engine at normal operating speed. When the 88 fires, add 30 to 40 decibels. The gun doesn't make a sound. It makes a physical force. A hammer blow to your chest. The concussion slams your lungs flat. Your ears don't ring, they shut down completely. Total silence. Then a high-pitched whine that lasts for days, sometimes weeks, sometimes forever. No hearing protection existed. Not for tank crews. Otto Carius, Tiger commander, destroyed over 150 enemy tanks. By age 30, he was functionally deaf. Couldn't hear normal conversation, had to read lips. Most Tiger veterans suffered permanent damage. Many were completely deaf by their 40s, but the long-term damage wasn't the immediate problem. The immediate problem was communication during combat right now. The intercom crackled with static over the engine roar. After the gun fired, total deafness for several seconds. Crews developed hand signals because shouting failed. They read lips through narrow vision ports. They anticipated orders based on tactical situation because hearing them was impossible. March 1944, Eastern Front near Korsun. The commander screams into the intercom, "Reverse! Reverse!" The driver, ears ringing from the last shot, thinks he hears "Advance." He drives forward, directly into a concealed Soviet anti-tank gun position 200 meters ahead. The first round penetrates the lower glacis plate, hits the ammunition storage. The Tiger detonates. All 5 crew members killed instantly, because the driver couldn't hear the order. The noise caused other problems. Constant vibration from the engine, 700 horsepower shaking every bolt, every weld, every component. It rattled your teeth, loosened fillings. One commander reported 3 fillings falling out during a single day of operations. The vibration traveled through the steel, up your legs, into your spine, your skull. After hours of operations, you couldn't stand straight. Your back seized, your legs trembled. The gunner had it worst. His face pressed against the sight reticle. Every shot transmitted directly through the optics into his eye socket. Gunners developed permanent vision damage not from the muzzle flash, from the concussion, detached retinas, chronic migraines. One gunner reported seeing double for 3 days after a particularly intense engagement. You couldn't escape the noise. Even with the engine off, your ears still rang. Even sleeping, which you rarely did, you heard phantom engine sounds. The noise lived in your head permanently. Veterans reported hearing the Maybach engine in their nightmares decades after the war. But you could work around heat, you could work around noise, You couldn't work around mechanical failure, and the Tiger failed constantly. The Tiger tank breaks down every 10 to 15 operational hours, not a worst-case scenario, average. Every Tiger, every crew could expect a major mechanical failure after less than a day of combat operations. The transmission was the main culprit. The Tiger weighed 60 tons. The transmission was designed for a tank weighing 45 tons. German industry couldn't produce a stronger transmission fast enough, so they installed the inadequate one anyway. Under combat stress, sudden acceleration, sharp turns, rough terrain, the transmission shattered. When it failed, the Tiger became a 70-ton stationary pillbox. You couldn't move, couldn't retreat, couldn't reposition. You sat there, target number one, waiting for artillery or air power or anti-tank guns to find you. Field repairs on a transmission took 8 to 12 hours with specialized tools and trained mechanics. Most field mechanics weren't trained on Tigers. The tank was too new, too complex. They improvised. Sometimes it worked. Usually it didn't. Normandy, July 1944. A Tiger from 2nd SS Panzer Division broke down on a road outside Caen. The crew tried to repair it for 6 hours. They got it running. It moved 200 meters. The transmission failed again. They abandoned it. Allied forces found it 2 days later, perfectly intact except for the shattered transmission. The crew never returned. Engine failures were common too. The Maybach HL-230 generated 700 horsepower. It consumed fuel at catastrophic rates, 1 gallon per mile on roads, worse cross-country. In combat, fuel consumption doubled. Tigers routinely ran out of fuel mid-engagement. No fuel meant no power. No power meant no turret traverse. No turret traverse meant you could only shoot at targets directly in front of you. If the enemy flanked you, and they always tried to flank, you were helpless. Spring-loaded road wheels, brilliant engineering, terrible maintenance. The overlapping wheel design improved cross-country performance. But when one wheel broke, you had to remove 6 other wheels to replace it. A single broken road wheel took 4 hours to fix in ideal conditions. In combat, in mud, in winter, 12 hours, 24 hours. Sometimes crews just abandoned the tank. Tracks. The Tiger used manganese steel tracks that weighed over 2 tons. They broke, they slipped, they froze to the drive sprocket in winter. Replacing a track section took minimum 6 hours with a full crew. Under fire, you didn't repair it, you ran. But running from a broken-down Tiger led to its own problems. Because a disabled Tiger in enemy territory was the #1 priority target for Allied forces, every available weapon system converged on it. Artillery, air power, tank destroyers, infantry with explosives. The Allies didn't just want to destroy Tigers. They wanted to capture them, study them, reverse engineer them. A breakdown in enemy territory meant your tank became a prize. Your survival became uncertain. And that's where things get interesting. Because I promised you something. I promised you'd see what happens when 15 Sherman tanks surround a single Tiger. Let me show you exactly how that went. Before we get to that ambush, you need context. The Tiger tank wasn't a mass production weapon. Only 1,347 Tigers were ever built. For comparison, the Allies produced over 50,000 Sherman tanks. Each Tiger crew consisted of 5 men: commander, gunner, loader, driver, radio operator. The commander stood in the cupola directing operations. The gunner aimed the 88mm gun. The loader fed shells into the breech. The driver operated the vehicle. The radio operator handled communications and manned the hull machine gun. Why did men volunteer for Tigers? Prestige. Tiger crews were elite. They received better food, better quarters, priority for leave. The propaganda portrayed them as unstoppable warriors. And there was truth in it statistically. Tigers achieved kill ratios of 10 to 1, sometimes higher, but that prestige made you target #1. Every Allied commander knew, kill the Tigers first. Every weapon system prioritized them. Every spotter radioed their position. Every air sortie hunted them. Being elite meant being hunted. Now, let me tell you about Oberleutnant Hans von Westenhagen. December 1944. Ardennes Forest, the Battle of the Bulge. Hans von Westenhagen commanded a single Tiger from 1st SS Panzer Division. His orders: hold a crossroads north of Bastogne, deny Allied reinforcements access to the encirclement. He held that crossroads for 6 hours. During those 6 hours, 15 Sherman tanks from the US 4th Armored Division tried to break through. Von Westenhagen's gunner destroyed the first Sherman at 1,000 meters. The 75mm round from the Sherman couldn't penetrate the Tiger's frontal armor at that range. The Tiger's 88 punched through the Sherman's armor like cardboard. The other 14 Shermans scattered, trying to flank. This is what Tiger crews feared most, not frontal assault, but flanking. The Tiger's side armor was only 80mm thick. A 75mm round could penetrate at close range. The Sherman commanders knew this. They split up. 5 Shermans went left, 5 went right. 4 came straight at him, firing to keep him suppressed. Von Westenhagen's loader, we don't know his name, loaded 32 shells in 18 minutes. The gunner destroyed 2 more Shermans going left, 1 Sherman going right. The 4 charging straight managed to close to 400 meters before the 88 tore through them one by one. 9 Shermans destroyed, 6 remaining. But here's what the propaganda doesn't tell you. During this engagement, von Westenhagen's Tiger was hit 47 times. 47 75mm rounds impacted the armor. 46 ricocheted or failed to penetrate. One round, the 47th, hit the turret ring at an angle that shouldn't have been possible. It penetrated 5mm before stopping, 5mm from breakthrough. Inside the tank, each impact sounded like a sledgehammer hitting an oil drum. The concussion threw crew members against the walls. Spent fragments ricocheted inside the turret. One fragment hit the loader in the shoulder. He kept loading. Another fragment hit the radio operator in the leg. He stayed at his station. The remaining 6 Shermans called for air support. 2 P-47 Thunderbolts arrived 20 minutes later. They strafed the Tiger with 50 caliber rounds. The bullets couldn't penetrate the armor, but they killed von Westenhagen. He was standing in the cupola, head exposed, calling targets. A 50 caliber round hit him in the chest. He died instantly. The gunner took command. He destroyed 2 more Shermans before the artillery came. The Americans called in 105mm howitzers, not to destroy the Tiger, to force it to withdraw. After 6 rounds landed within 50 meters, the surviving crew abandoned the position. The Tiger had no fuel left anyway. The loader, bleeding from his shoulder wound, helped the injured radio operator out of the hull. The gunner stayed until the last possible moment, destroying 1 final Sherman before retreating. 12 Shermans destroyed. 1 Tiger crew, 1 killed, 2 wounded, 2 uninjured, but permanently deafened. The Tiger was recovered 3 days later by German forces. It was repairable. They never found enough fuel to move it. This was the reality of being elite. Every engagement, every battle, every operation, you were target number 1. The Allies threw everything at you: tanks, artillery, air power, infantry, everything. But there were moments, rare moments, when being in a Tiger felt like power. July 1943, Battle of Kursk. Michael Wittmann's Tiger, the largest tank battle in history. Over 6,000 tanks engaged across the Kursk salient. Wittmann's Tiger was positioned on the northern shoulder, defensive position, hull down. The Soviet attack came at dawn, wave after wave of 34 tanks, 85 of them, advancing in formation across open ground. For exactly 18 minutes, Wittmann's Tiger crew experienced what it felt like to have unlimited ammunition, perfect visibility, and enemy tanks too far away to fight back. The 88mm gun could penetrate a 34's frontal armor at 2,000 meters. The 34's 76mm gun needed to be within 800 meters to penetrate the Tiger's front. It was a turkey shoot. Wittmann's gunner fired 38 times, hit 38 times, destroyed 38 34's. The loader again, name unrecorded, loaded 38 shells, while artillery shells detonated around them, while machine gun fire rattled against the armor, while the world exploded outside. Inside the Tiger, it felt like invincibility. The gun worked perfectly. The optics were clear. The ammunition kept feeding. The armor held against return fire. For 18 minutes, they were what the propaganda promised, an unstoppable weapon crewed by elite warriors. Then the gun overheated. The barrel expanded from rapid fire. Accuracy degraded. They withdrew to let it cool. 38 tanks destroyed. 0 casualties, 0 damage. Wittmann received the Knight's Cross for that engagement. But here's what happened to him 1 year later. August 1944, Normandy. Wittmann's Tiger, different tank, same crew, except the loader who'd been killed at Kursk, advancing through Bocage country. 5 Sherman Fireflies from British 1st Northamptonshire Yeomanry were positioned in ambush, hull down, concealed, waiting. The Fireflies carried 17-pound guns, more powerful than standard Shermans. They opened fire simultaneously at 200 meters, 5 guns, 5 different angles. The Tiger's armor couldn't deflect all 5 rounds. 1 penetrated the turret, 1 penetrated the hull. The ammunition detonated. Michael Wittmann, the highest-scoring tank ace of the war, died before he could react. His gunner died. His new loader died. His driver died. His radio operator died. All 5 men killed instantly. The Tiger detonated so violently that Allied forces didn't recover any intact remains. From invincibility to obliteration in 3 seconds, that was the Tiger experience. Moments of absolute power followed by absolute vulnerability. And the transition between those states was instant, random, and uncontrollable. But nothing killed more Tiger crews than fire. Let's talk about what fire does inside a sealed metal box. When hydraulic fluid ignites, which it does at 233 degrees Fahrenheit, it burns at 1000 degrees. That's hot enough to melt aluminum, hot enough to ignite diesel fuel, rubber, cloth, leather, hot enough to create a fireball that consumes all oxygen in 3 seconds. You can't breathe fire. You try. Your body demands oxygen. You inhale. You get smoke and superheated air that sears your lungs from the inside. Let me show you what 8 seconds feels like. Count with me. 1. The shell penetrates. You see it happen. The hole appears. You have 8 seconds to get out. But first, you have to realize what's happening. Your brain needs 1 full second to process. We're hit. Danger. Move. 2. You move. You drop whatever you're holding. You turn toward the hatch. The commander is already climbing. The gunner is scrambling after him. You're third in line. Behind you, the flames reach the ammunition racks. 3. The commander is in the hatch, 24 inches wide. He's a large man. Most commanders were selected for size, for presence. He's struggling. His shoulders barely fit. His equipment belt catches. He's stuck. Not completely stuck, just stuck enough to slow him down by 2 seconds. 4. He's through. The gunner is in the hatch now. Younger, smaller, faster. He should clear it easily. But his boot catches on the hatch rim. He stumbles, falls back into the turret. Lands on you. 2 seconds lost. 5. The gunner is climbing again. You're pushing him from below. Your hands on his legs, shoving him upward. You can feel the heat now. Real heat. The flames are spreading. The smoke is getting thick. You can barely see. You can't breathe without coughing. 6. The gunner clears the hatch. Your turn. You jump for it. Your hands grab the rim. You pull yourself up. Your head gets through. Fresh air. You can see the sky. You're going to make it. Then your equipment belt catches. 7. You pull. It doesn't give. You twist. Still caught. Behind you in the hull, the driver is screaming. The radio operator is screaming. They can't get past you. You're blocking them. If you can't get out, they can't get out. You pull harder. The belt breaks. You're free. 8. You're half out when the ammunition detonates. The Tiger tank carried 92 rounds of 88mm ammunition. Each round contained between 2 and 3 pounds of explosive propellant. When they cooked off from heat, they didn't all detonate simultaneously. They went off sequentially, pop, 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 like firecrackers, each explosion triggering the next. The force didn't always kill you instantly. Sometimes it just wounded you. Sometimes it threw you clear of the tank, burning but alive. Sometimes it blew your legs off and left you conscious, watching the rest of your body burn. Werner Hahn, loader, 3rd Panzer Division, Ukraine, March 1944. Hit by a 76mm anti-tank round at 300 meters, hydraulic fluid ignited. Hahn was 3rd in line for the hatch. He almost made it. His equipment belt caught on the hatch rim. He pulled. It broke. But in those 2 seconds delay, the ammunition cooked off. The explosion didn't kill him. It threw him clear 40 feet from the tank. His uniform was burning. His hair was burning. Both legs shattered from the blast. He was conscious, completely conscious. His commander and gunner, already out, came back for him. They dragged him away from the tank, beat out the flames on his uniform, applied field dressings to his legs. He stayed conscious the entire time, screaming. The driver and radio operator never got out. Their bodies were never recovered. Hans survived, lost both legs below the knee, lived to be 73 years old, gave an interview in 1998 where he said, "I can still smell it, the burning hydraulic fluid. The burning flesh, my flesh. I smell it every day, 60 years later, every single day." That happened in Ukraine, March 1944. In Normandy, June 1944, a Tiger from 2nd SS Panzer Division took a 17-pound round through the engine compartment. The fuel tanks ruptured. Diesel fuel spread across the engine bay and ignited. The crew had 15 seconds instead of 8. Diesel burns slower than hydraulic fluid. All 5 men got out alive, but 3 of them suffered third-degree burns over 70% of their bodies. They died from their burns within 2 days. The other 2 survived but spent months in hospitals. One lost his right arm to infection, the other lost vision in both eyes. Getting out didn't mean surviving. Fire was the leading cause of death for Tiger crews. Not enemy shells, not mechanical failure, fire. Of every 10 Tigers knocked out in combat, 7 burned. Of those 7 that burned, 6 killed their entire crew or left them so badly wounded they died from injuries. The 8th second wasn't salvation. It was just the moment when your odds of survival dropped from 10% to 0. The psychological impact of knowing this destroyed crews as effectively as the physical danger. Every engagement, every time you loaded a shell, you knew, 1 hit in the wrong place means I have 8 seconds. Every time you climbed into the tank, you mentally rehearsed the escape. Where's the hatch? How fast can I reach it? What if someone's ahead of me? What if they get stuck? You didn't think about victory. You didn't think about glory. You thought about fire, about those 8 seconds, about whether you'd be fast enough. Most weren't. Approximately 10,000 men crewed Tiger tanks during World War II. Fewer than 1,000 survived unscathed. 90% casualties, not wounded, not captured, dead, permanently disabled, deaf, blind, burned, crippled. Those statistics don't capture the full cost. Otto Carrius survived, destroyed 150 enemy tanks, lost his hearing by age 30, spent the rest of his life reading lips, unable to hear his own children speak. Kurt Knispel, the highest-scoring tank ace in history, credited with 168 tank kills, died when his Tiger was hit by Soviet artillery, March 1945. He got out, died from his burns 3 hours later. Michael Whitman, Knight's Cross with oak leaves, the propaganda ace, died in Normandy when 5 fireflies ambushed his Tiger. No remains recovered. He literally vaporized. Johannes Bülter, 2nd SS Panzer Division, survived 8 Tigers being knocked out from under him. The 9th time, he didn't get out. Neither did his crew. These were the survivors, the skilled crews, the lucky ones, the aces. They died anyway. For regular crews, the statistics were worse. The average Tiger crew survived 6 weeks of frontline combat. 6 weeks. After that, mechanical failure, enemy action, or simple attrition caught up with you. Some crews died on their first mission. A Tiger from 3rd Panzer Division in Normandy drove off a transport train, through a track, couldn't move. Allied aircraft destroyed it before the crew could repair the track. All 5 men killed. Combat time, 0 hours. Some crews died to their own equipment. A Tiger commander in Russia stuck his head out of the cupola while reversing. The turret was traversing. The gun barrel hit him in the head, killed him instantly. Not from enemy action, from a rotating gun barrel. Some crews died from exhaustion. After 40 hours of continuous operations, a driver fell asleep at the controls, drove the Tiger into a ravine. The tank rolled, crushed the driver and radio operator. The other 3 crew members survived but were captured. And some crews just disappeared. A Tiger would be reported knocked out. Recovery teams would find it days later, empty, undamaged, full of fuel and ammunition. The crew just gone, vanished into the chaos of war. No bodies, no evidence, no explanation. The official Tiger casualty statistics: 9,000 dead, 700 permanently disabled, 300 survived without major injury. But those 300 survivors? Deaf, shell-shocked, haunted. Most couldn't hold jobs, most couldn't maintain relationships, most drank themselves to death within 10 years of the war's end. Kurt Meyer, Tiger commander, survived the war intact, shot himself in 1953. His suicide note: "The noise never stops, the engine is always running, I can't make it stop." Hans von Luck, 7th Panzer Division, survived the war with minimal injuries. Wrote in his memoir, "I would trade every medal, every commendation, every moment of glory to have back the 20 men who died in Tigers under my command. Boys, not soldiers, boys. And I sent them to burn." The Tiger tank achieved its tactical objectives when it functioned and when the crew survived long enough to use it. Those moments were rare. The propaganda showed those rare moments and called them typical. Typical was breakdown, fire, death. Typical was heat stroke, hearing loss, permanent trauma. Typical was your third week in combat, a random artillery shell hits your engine deck, you have 8 seconds to escape, you don't make it. The men who crewed Tigers weren't the elite warriors of propaganda. They were conscripts and volunteers, teenagers and young men. They climbed into a machine that killed its own crews almost as efficiently as it killed the enemy. They climbed in knowing the statistics. They climbed in anyway. You're the loader inside a Tiger tank. The shell just penetrated the side armor. Fire spreads across the turret. The commander screams. The gunner scrambles for the hatch. You're third in line. Behind you, 2 men are trapped in the hull. You have 8 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your equipment belt catches. 8. The Tiger tank was a legend. The most feared weapon of World War II. The tank that could destroy any Allied vehicle at ranges they couldn't fight back from. The symbol of German engineering and martial power. The museums preserve them. The documentaries celebrate them. The history books record their kill ratios and technical specifications. That's fine. The machine deserves its place in history. But remember the men. Remember the loader who broke his body lifting 40-pound shells until his arms gave out. Remember the driver who couldn't see where he was going, navigating by the commander's voice until the noise made voices disappear. Remember the gunner who went blind from concussion, from muzzle flash, from pressing his eye against a sight reticle that transmitted every shock straight into his retina. Remember the commander who stood in the cupola because his crew needed him to see, knowing that exposure made him the easiest target. Remember the radio operator trapped in the hull with nothing to do but wait and hope he wouldn't burn. Remember the 60% who died in fires, the 90% who became casualties, the survivors who spent their remaining years deaf, blind, broken, haunted by engine noise that never stopped. 10,000 men crewed Tigers. 9,300 didn't survive intact. Your survival in a Tiger wasn't about skill, wasn't about courage, wasn't about superior technology. It was about luck. And eventually, after 6 weeks, or 6 months, or 6 minutes, everyone's luck ran out. The opening of this video wasn't hypothetical. That was every day. That was every engagement. That was the statistical reality of crewing the most feared weapon of World War II. The Tiger tank killed the enemy. It also killed you. The only question was, which happened first? If you want to see more brutal realities from inside World War II's deadliest machines, check out the U-boat video next. Subscribe so you don't miss future deep dives into the human cost of history's most fearsome weapons. Tell me in the comments, what other vehicle or position from the war should I investigate next? Thanks for watching, and remember those 8 seconds, because for most Tiger crews, 8 seconds was all they got.